It's Monday, the 23rd of January, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers says that the worst of the inflation crisis is over, but prices will remain higher than comfortable for a while yet.
Yes, his comments came ahead of this week's Consumer Price Index data, which is expected to show price rises peaking during the December quarter. And as has happened in the US, pressure on prices is expected to dissipate in coming months due to a number of factors, including a slowdown in demand, i.e. interest rates rising, hurts demand, factories in China firing up again, and cheaper shipping costs. Dr. Chalmers said Australia still has a big inflation challenge, even as we pass through the peak of price rises. Helping the Treasurer's argument is new analysis from the Department of Treasury that shows the government's intervention in the energy market has slowed the rise of electricity prices. If inflation has peaked, we all hope so, does that mean we might get some relief from interest rate rises? Well, we know the Reserve Bank lifted interest rates by 3 percentage points last year. That means your standard variable rate's 6 point something, not 3 point something. More economists are now coming out saying it's time for the central bank to pause. The Commonwealth Bank's Gareth Aird did so over the weekend. AMP Shane Oliver, our own Stephen Koukoulas, they're in that boat as well. Definitely, if this week's inflation data is lower than expected, it'll give the Reserve Bank a reason to pause.
Sean, story number 2, the hopes that rates won't rise certainly haven't hurt the local share market. And I love a good milestone. How about this one? On Friday, BHP's share price pushed through the $50 mark for the first time, which is great news for the hundreds of thousands of shareholders in the big Australian.
Yes, it sure is. Iron ore prices pushed through $125 a tonne late last week. That pushed BHP's share price through that $50 mark for the first time ever. The miner share price hit $47.50 in June last year, then it trended lower until early November. Since then, it's up about a third, and on Friday it closed at $49.95. It's been a pretty impressive run. Now, boss Mike Henry said China's pro-growth policies, including in the property sector, and an easing in COVID-19 policies are expected to drive iron ore demand this year. Having said that, Beijing is taking action to try and put downward pressure on iron ore, but thus far, BHP has been a beneficiary of those higher prices.
Okay, story number 3, the housing market, Sean, comes out of hibernation this week. Australia Day really marks the end of the unofficial break for the market. Could all this talk of interest rate pauses help what we know is a struggling market?
Definitely. Interest rates have the single biggest influence on what happens to house prices. 2022 was the largest calendar year decline in home values since 2008, with the biggest falls coming in the middle months of the year. Sydney was worst performing. Best, interestingly, was regional South Australia. Average prices there grew by about 17%. What will be really interesting in coming weeks is the volume of homes on the market. Sales volumes last year were down 17%, according to CoreLogic. Properties in the December quarter took an average of 34 days to sell. About 12 months earlier, that was about 20 days. And the clearance rate across the country fell to 55% at the end of last year. So what we will be looking at over the next month, 6 weeks or so, is the number of homes on sale, how long it takes them to sell, and of course, those clearance rates.
All right, story number 4, Netflix, the global streaming service, hasn't had a great run in recent years, and at one point in 2022 actually looked like it would lose subscribers. But thanks to some hit shows and massive movies, it added 7.7 million new subscribers last quarter.
That's right. Shares in Netflix surged after it said hit shows including Harry and Meghan, Wednesday, and the film Glass Onion helped trigger a surge in subscriptions. Netflix has been listed for 21 years. Its share price started at $1, got as high as $700 in the middle of COVID. It's now back to about $320. Still, $1 to $320 ain't bad. It has 230 million members and is easily the world's largest streaming service. But in the US, Netflix is only about 8% of the free-to-air time, and its management argues there's still plenty of opportunity in the streaming service as it takes on those free-to-air networks.
All right, Sean, on to story number 5 now, and a very serious one out of the United States. Overnight, a gunman has killed 10 people at a ballroom dance studio amid Lunar New Year celebrations and may have tried to target a second dance hall as well. As we record this, authorities are still searching for the suspect.
The shooting left 5 women and 5 men dead and wounded another 10 people. Then 20 to 30 minutes later, a man with a gun, suspected to be the same person, entered another ballroom. People wrestled the weapon away from him before he fled, according to Associated Press. Investigators are interested in a white cargo van that was seen in the area. The Sheriff's Department said he's still unidentified, but obviously he's considered armed and dangerous.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 23rd of January, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. Very important. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.